Roll call.
President Greg White.
Here.
Director Rick Webb.
Present.
Director Byron Glennan.
Here.
Director Ben Stewart.
Here. Okay, please rise for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, have a motion for approval of the agenda.
Approve the agenda as submitted. Not presented. As submitted.
Second. Okay, motion made by Director Webb, seconded by Director Stewart. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Board Secretary.
This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item not on the agenda regarding district business. State law prohibits the district from taking any action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized under section 54954.2 sub B of the government code, and your matter may be referred to the general manager. An individual may also address the board on any agenda item at the time the matter is discussed and prior to board consideration or action. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Your time will start when you approach the podium, and you will be given a 30-second warning before your time expires. If you choose to ask a question during this time, any response by the board will not extend your time. Questions may be referred to the general manager to be answered at a later time after the meeting. In order to allow for a smooth and orderly meeting and allow each speaker the ability to address the board, disruptions from the audience will not be tolerated and you can be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in this democratic process.
Mr. President, please.
Yes,
Could
sir.
I make one, go back to the agenda approval, make one amendment to it, please?
Okay. We have a motion to go back to the approval of the agenda. We had a vote on that to accept it. Do I have a motion to go back to revise it? Moved.
I'll second it.
Motion was made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Webb to go back to make a revision to the agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Mr. Webb, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I'd just like to, we had some changes in the district, so under new business, has several items that had a presenter as Rosamond Smith. I'd like to update that to you, I guess with Lizette or John would be doing the presenting, just to reflect what's presented here. This new business number 1 and new business number 2, and it's general manager update. So we could update those 3 things, so you reflect, I guess, John, Houghton, and Lizette as the presenters. John would be under general manager update, and then either Lizette or John would be under new business 2 and new business 1.
All right, we have a motion as stated to make the changes. Do we have a second? Second. Motion made by Director Webb, seconded by Director Stewart to make changes as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And with that, we will go to public comments. If there are any public comments, and let the record show that we opened for public comments, and we are now closing public comments. Closed session, conference of legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2, one potential case. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second. Motion is made by Director Glennan, second by Director Stewart. All in favor? Aye. We are in closed session at 5:37. Call the meeting back to order. It is 6:08. And have a motion to come out of closed session.
Motion to come out of closed session.
Second. Motion made by Director Webb, second by Director Stewart to come out of closed session. All in favor? Aye. We are out of closed session at 6:08. And public report on action taken in closed session. Council?
No reportable action was taken in closed session. Okay.
Okay, at this time, we are in open session, and Board Secretary.
This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item not on the agenda regarding district business. State law prohibits the district from taking any action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized under section 54954.2 sub B of the Government Code, and your matter may be referred to the general manager. An individual may also address the board on any agenda item at the time the matter is discussed and prior to board consideration or action. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Your time will start when you approach the podium, and you will be given a 30-second warning before your time expires. If you choose to ask a question during this time, any response by the board will not extend your time. Questions may be referred to the general manager to be answered at a later time after the meeting. In order to allow for a smooth and orderly meeting and allow each speaker the ability to address the board, disruptions from the audience will not be tolerated and you can be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in this democratic process.
Okay, at this time, we'll open the floor for public comments on non-agenda items. Any public comments? Okay, at this time, we will close public comments and minutes. Minutes M1 to M3. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Moved. Second.
Was that you, Ben, that made the motion? Motion was made by Director Stewart, second by Director Webb. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Consent calendar C1 through 4. I have a motion on the consent calendar.
Oh, I have a motion now, accept.
Have a second?
Second.
A motion was made by Director Webb, second by Director Glennan. Any discussion on the consent calendar? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, new business. 1, nominated director to the California Special Districts Association, CSDA Board for the 2020-2022 term, seat B. And that will be, the presenter will be Mr. John Houghton.
Actually, Lizette was going to present this one
Okay.
for you.
So CSDA has a couple of individuals that are looking to be with expiring terms that can be renominated, or we can nominate anybody else, but they have to be within those regions.
Okay.
And their term it's a 2-year term, so 2020 to 2022.
All right.
I nominate Rick Webb, that we should send his name in.
I second.
It's like you're it, Rick.
Well, I gotta go up there and start campaigning. Give me a pinto, put me a flag up there.
Okay.
No, just
I think any of the standard boards like this that operate, it's not easy to get on them usually, especially from this far away in the county almost. But anytime we have a seat at the table, can get a seat at the table, I think we need to do that. We need to apply for
To
it.
follow up on that, if we give an opportunity, I think that having attended conferences in the past, our whole region, like Byron brought up, you see very few people, so maybe we could be the one district that's starting encouraging other people to go, because people don't, if they don't know you, they don't do a lot for you. And sometimes you gotta do it for yourself. But the other thing there too, there's a lot going on all around us, and sometimes we miss out because we're not even there to be considered.
Right. Okay, we have a motion by Director Glennan, seconded by Director Stewart, to nominate Director Webb for the CSDA Board seat B. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. New business 2, sponsor the annual appreciation dinner for the Kern County Sheriff's deputies of the Rosamond substation to be held Saturday, March 23, 2019. John?
Yes, so the Rotary Club's putting on this annual dinner. They're looking for sponsorship. There's 4 different levels of sponsorship. With the the sponsorship, you get your tickets, up to 8 tickets, depending on the package you buy, 8 to 10 tickets, 10 being the highest for the highest package, 8 being on the lowest. You get you get a table, you get your business name displayed on the table, and on the programs and banners displayed prominently at the event. The levels of sponsorship are titanium sponsor is $3,000. That's for a full paid ad in the program and 10 tickets. They have a platinum sponsorship that's $1,500 for half a page ad in the program and 10 tickets. A gold sponsor, quarter page ad in the program and 10 tickets.
What's the price of that one, John?
Pardon me?
What's the price on that one?
On the gold?
That one's $500. I'm sorry. And the silver sponsorship is $300, which is a business card ad in the program and 8 tickets.
So the 500 one, how many tickets was that one?
The $500 one is 10 tickets and a quarter page ad.
I make a motion, we either do the 3 or the 500, we can discuss that. But I really think it's important when we get 8 tickets, that we get 8 people
Yeah.
to show up.
And you have to know like immediately, right? Like right now?
We should, yeah, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think in order to get the,
I'm fine with going either the 3 or the 5 myself personally.
You know, I'd like to make a motion that, we'll do the could we do the 500? There, because, I mean, they are here at the office with us, and if you folks don't know about the sheriffs, you know, they may be fans, but they do a good job for us. I think that'd be a good way to tell them thank you for coming from the district, so I'd like to make a motion that we do participate at the $500 level.
I'll second that motion. And they live with us too, so.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Webb, seconded by Director Glennan, to go with the $500 table option.
gold sponsor.
It's a sponsorship. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, new business 3, approval of the purchase of an additional bar screen for the wastewater treatment plant in the amount of $180,000 from Coombs Hopkins. Presenter Brach.
Thank you. As explained in the staff report that you received, the district is asking for approval to purchase a second bar screen at the wastewater treatment plant. The bar screen acts as the first line of defense in filtering the influent to the wastewater treatment plant. We currently operate with 1 bar screen, but without a second, it's hard to maintain the existing bar screen, and if there's any issues, any downtime, we are without that means of filtration. We're asking for non-competitive procurement for this purchase so we can purchase an identical unit to what we have, and that will allow us to use uniform spare parts and also reduce the maintenance costs. We know that this will work with our existing plant. So we're familiar with operating it, it works with all the associated equipment, and we already have staff that's trained for this unit and spare parts on site.
Okay, I've put together several questions on this, looking over the proposal. And I noticed that this originally came before the board in June of 2018 for the,
This purchase was approved as part of the capital improvement projects and the amount of $150,000. The price has since escalated with the varying cost of stainless steel and also the needs of the district.
okay, what documentation did you present to the board when requesting this for the CIP?
We had a preliminary proposal that was not presented to the board, just the dollar amount was presented to the board, the previous
So the
board.
board received no information as far as, justification. Did you present maintenance records for the current parks sim unit that you have now to show the breakdowns or the cost of keeping it repaired and things of that nature?
No, that was not presented to the board.
Do you have maintenance records of showing, what it's costing to keep this running? Because you mentioned that it's breaking down a lot.
Not that it's breaking down. In the past it has. We have had downtime. Recently the gearbox went out on it, and so we had downtime where we were running without or with limited capabilities of this bar screen.
We also replaced the chains and the screens themselves.
Probably 5 years ago.
Isn't that why you put it in the capital project this year? Because you felt that it needed to happen, yeah.
What's the life expectancy of one of these things?
That one's been in there probably 15 years, and we replaced, like I said, we've replaced a couple of gearboxes, a slide plate, the actual screen itself, which are these plastic teeth, the whole chain of them,
Yeah.
I kind of remember when we
and
were
multiple bearings.
Yeah, when we were going through the capital projects requests, 2 years ago, I guess,
Now,
that it being brought up.
Yeah.
now, do you have a manual bypass? In other words, if the screen is down for maintenance, whatever, do you have a manual bypass where you can go through and you can manually rake the bar screen?
No, we do not have an option to manually rake the bar screen.
Not the parking unit, but can you divert the flow through another manual screen?
We have 3 channels on the influence side of the headworks, and the current bar screen is the only means of filtration. In the past,
There's a grinder there.
there was a
that no longer
grinder that
works.
does not work.
Okay.
And that hasn't worked in the 12 years that I've been here.
Okay, and then one thing that caught me was the non-competitive procurement.
Correct.
And what was your main reason for doing that?
For the reason is to have an identical unit to what we already have, so we keep the uniform spare parts. We have spare motors, spare gearboxes. We know this works with our SCADA system and the electrical that's there, so this would be an identical unit to the existing unit.
Okay, now, go ahead.
These are the only, Combs and Hopkins is the one that makes it?
Coombs and Hopkins is the local vendor for Parkson. Parkson is the manufacturer of it, but Coombs Hopkins is the vendor for our region, so that's our only option to purchase this.
So we can only purchase from this one company.
There are other companies that make bar screens, but they will not be compatible with what we have.
I know, but this company here, they're the only one.
Yes,
You
to
said
purchase,
region.
to purchase a Parkson product, we have to go through Coombs Hopkins.
It's for our area, because they're the distributor in our area for this thing.
Correct.
Okay, now, that's something that I was gonna ask you. You know, I understand you wanna stay with the same system, but Coombs Hopkins is not the only vendor for parks and systems. You heard of Flowtech?
No, sir.
Flowtech is in Walnut, California, and they are also a California vendor for the Parkson system. Coombs Hopkins is headquartered in Utah. So I've dealt with Flowtech. They're a good company, and I would think the least that we could be looking at doing is getting Flowtech to give us a price on this, because if you got 2 vendors, maybe that 180,000 will come down. Maybe Flowtech will add some aftermarket support that Coombs Hopkins won't. And also, I know you want to keep a Parkson unit in there, but some of the ones that you got FlexRake made by Duperon. That's another one, and you have Screen Master by Franklin Miller. And, I would like to see, even though you may not get one of these other systems, to at least explore the cost of these units, because you have a channel and you have a unit. Now, the power coming in, electricity is electricity.
Correct.
Now, Parkson unit, you can have parts interchangeable, things like this. But your FlexRake and your Screen Masters, they're similar. And you drop them in a channel, they're gonna sit at a 75-degree angle, flow's gonna go through it. You might have different parts, but if you can get one for a lot less money, and maybe the track record on those is O&M cost. You know, at our Palmdale facility, when I was still there, FlexRake wanted to get into our system because we were using Jones Atwood comminutors to remove the debris coming into the plant. They actually came and put one of their units in and let us run it for 6 months. And if we liked it, we bought it. And we did buy it, and we ended up putting it in the Lancaster and the Palmdale facilities. So when we're spending $180,000, you know, I'm looking at ways to, you know, we can leverage one company against the other to see who's going to give us the best deal to get the same results. And then plus, what troubles me is that when you got obviously you got a quote for $150,000 in June of 18 to put that into the CIP budget, correct?
The quote was actually from early 2018, and that was just a verbal quote, a budgetary number over the phone prior to any site visits. The original quote after the first site visit was $174,000. So that was just a budgetary. So the first actual quote with the site visit was 174, and then that has since increased to 180.
Okay, so if we asked for $150,000, but the first quote was 174, why didn't we make the first quote for 174?
The budget document was prepared before the first quote. So that was just a budgetary number. The 150,000 was the number they gave us during a phone call. And then their actual estimate after the first site visit was 174, after the budget document was already completed.
Do you have spare parts on hand now?
Yes, we do.
And is the unit in good running order?
Yes, it is.
You know, I would like to look at aftermarket care from other vendors. And plus it troubles me that, you know, we're looking at an increase in this where these things are pretty standard. And I expect them to go up a little bit from year to year, but not that much. And then when I was talking to you about the startup where they would give us 2 days, you know, to sit there and have a startup of a piece of equipment and then to be here basically just overnight. They come in here on Tuesday and they leave on Wednesday during the startup. You know, I'm looking at to where aftermarket, what are they going to do for us? And I would like, you know, me personally, I'd like to see this go to the engineering committee, and then I would like to get some comparisons. I would like to get Flowtech involved.
Okay.
Let them, they're selling the exact same unit. And if they can turn around, instead of selling it just 180, they can sell it to us for less. They might offer more aftermarket care and support than Coombs Hopkins is offering, because they are down in Walnut, so they are local. So they can have a crew come up here and do some troubleshooting and things like that for us. I'd also like to maybe explore looking at FlexRake and looking at ScreenMaster, just to kind of see, comparing apples to apples. And it's just like, you know, but going back and focusing on parts, it's like buying a Ford. You're not going to go to one dealership and point at a truck and say, okay, that's the one I want right there, wrap it up. You're going to get, even though it's the same vehicle, you're going to check with other dealers to get a price and figure out which one's going to do the most for you and give you the most bang for your buck. And so if we're in good shape right now with the equipment running and there isn't an emergency situation to get this thing done, I would like to tap the brakes on this a little bit and do some digging and see if we can get a better deal and more, you know, before we spend $180,000 of the public's money, that, you know, we're getting the best deal out there.
Okay.
That's all I've got to say. So the rest of the board, it's,
Well, the only thing I'd ask on this here is, we haven't had a problem yet, or this is anticipating the problem or what?
We have had problems, and that's
Okay.
why we
So-
plan to purchase a second
Okay,
one.
but the other thing there too, one thing that we don't do really good here that we have to start doing, we gotta keep better records. And when we wanna go do things, I'd like to see records, and you don't have to, but if we ask a question about it, at least have it available. Since I don't know exactly what this does, I'd have to refer to Greg for the understanding of it. But when I see non-competitive, that tells me two things. We didn't either we didn't look for somebody else, or if they're the only ones on the block. I can't believe one company's monopolizing the whole region.
We were under the impression that Toombs and Hobson was the area dealer here.
Well, we gotta find out.
In all of our
Hold on.
contact with
Well,
parts.
hold on, sir. We have to find out, here's why. They may say that we have this here, but if we don't ask the second question, we may never know. So I would ask that we go out here and look, number one, because if they are, they are. But on the flip side of it, I would feel really bad if they've been saying, well, we have this here, and there may be other companies that may not have the same name, but they would do the same thing. I can't dove into this because I don't know the dynamics of it, so I have to trust you on that for his understanding, but I would ask for a little bit more diligence in bringing this forward to see what we got going on here.
And John, just so you're aware, I know a lot of the vendors out there by heart, but what I did is I went on the Parks and website and has dealer locator. And so I typed in our zip code, and both Coombs Hopkins and Flowtech came up as vendors. So that's from their website.
Right. By speaking with Parsons themselves, they referred us straight to Coombs and Hopkins.
Okay.
What I want to say is I have a lot of faith in your guys' decisions. If you guys are telling me this is something we need to look at, I trust you guys. Are you guys losing sleep over this at night? This thing?
Absolutely not.
And in my opinion, I agree with Greg in the sense that I agree with you. I appreciate you guys bringing it to us saying, hey, this is something we're going to have to look at. I think we should do a little more due diligence, ask around, because you might have got the best price right now and we should jump on it. I understand. But until we go call around and do some due diligence, there might be some $30,000 cheaper. So I definitely appreciate you bringing it up. I just think that we need to just check around real quick.
And I think if we get this to the engineering committee, we can have this probably back before the board by our first meeting in April. It shouldn't take that long to reach out,
Yeah.
And that's what I would suggest is to just get on the phone to Flowtech and see what they say. And see if they can get somebody to come out here and look at what we have and get a quote real quick. And then we'll schedule a committee meeting as soon as we can, as soon as you've got some information for us, and we'll sit down, we'll discuss it and try to get it back before the board as quick as we can.
I'll make a motion that we table that item there in B3 and refer it to the engineering committee, then bring it back before the full board.
I'm fine with that. I have one comment. I think we need to get what's best for the money, even if we have to pay a little bit more, and get a little, make sure we get what we need. And I think that's important. And do you know what we need? In other words,
Brach and myself are not experts in this field.
Yeah.
We were being directed by the manufacturer that we talked to.
Engineer.
So your guys' input is greatly appreciated.
yeah, it might be if you did an engineering committee meeting soon, the distributor could come and present, tell them why. All I'm saying is it clearly needs to happen. We need to have a backup.
Yes, we
And we're going to spend some money. Let's spend it wisely and not just, penny pinch and nitpick pick it.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion by Director Webb to table. Do you have a second? Second. Seconded by Director Stewart. All in favor of tabling MB3? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Could you also have that motion to table that and refer it to engineering committee?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is that we table NB3, table that as presented, and have the engineering committee look at the information we're good and bring it back to the full board.
You in your second?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Director Webb, second by Director Stewart. As amended as stated. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, director's reports, comments, future agenda items, and under this one, We have director requests. I had asked for these to be put on in DR1, DR2, and DR3. And let me get to my paperwork I had. Okay, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the Fremont Basin. What this is for the people here is this is in regards to our engineering projects we're going on. So we as a board are going to be going over a lot of detail on our engineering projects to get a good picture of where we're at, so we can kind of see which direction that we need to be moving in. And you know, the district is moving in one direction right now, and we just need to see if we need to go to the left a little bit, or go to the right a little bit, or stay straight down the middle. And so I'm hoping that these questions and discussion will help give us that bearing that we need. Okay, on the Fremont Basin, this potential project has been portrayed as the backbone and a key source of meeting future water needs of Rosamond. And it's one of the things that I come up with is that percolation is no longer an option because of liquefaction at the treatment plant. And but it was also reported that the water has very high arsenic levels. And one of the questions is, what will the impact be on those who depend on the Fremont water for their needs? That was brought up at our last meeting. And what are the costs to purchase water rights and property? And because of the potential of doing harm to the community of Mojave and plus the other homeowners in that area, you know, what is the cost to do a full EIR and CEQA on this? And what is the cost of treating the water? And then we also have an infrastructure cost that we need to explore. And we also have the cost of obtaining easements to get from the well site to the tank. And then another question would be, are our current facilities capable of receiving the approximately 1,000 acre feet of influent, or do we need to build a larger tank? And the bottom line is it cheaper to pursue the Fremont water versus purchasing water on the open market? So I think I will kind of throw that to John. I know he's got some information on the Fremont Basin that...
Yeah, so our preliminary studies show that the arsenic is very high, probably higher than we even want to go any further. I mean, we're going to get some costs to see what the actual cost would be to treat the arsenic level as high as it is, but it doesn't look good right now. So this was the project of the previous general manager that we wanted to go out there because it wasn't in the not a non-adjudicated basin, and we do have property in that area. So we moved forward with doing the investigation. Once we got our water samples back, to me, and I'm not an engineer, and I don't know what the cost to treat arsenic levels at 160 parts per billion, but it doesn't look good. So what I did as soon as we found that out is I reached out to a few of the farmers that I know personally and another businessman. There are lots of water rights for sale out there right now. Lots of them.
All right.
Nobody has committed to an actual price per acre foot, but they are willing to entertain the idea of a proposal. So Ron had said before, you know, the longer we wait, the lower they may come. That may be true. But right now, there is plenty of water for sale. Just in the three people that I talked to, we're looking at 3,500 acre feet of water for sale in just those three people. It's just a matter of making a deal with them. Do we want to wait and see if the market comes down? There's no price set. You know, I had informed them of what we had paid before, and I expected it to be lower than what we'd already paid. And they were in agreement, they, you know, it was in the range, but no actual prices have been thrown out there, but there's water for sale.
Okay.
When did we get the samples back? When did we get what date was that? Not exact date, but was it recently?
Just last week, yeah.
The samples were collected 2 weeks ago, and the results were received last Thursday.
And they ranged from, was it 46?
49 was the lowest of the three, and 140 was the highest.
One more time.
I
49
know it's pretty
parts per
pricey
billion.
when we have to get from like 14 or 15 parts per billion down to 10.
Yeah.
And 140.
And
So it may be something that the board wants to put back, way back in the corner for now. And not even, you know, it seems with arsenic levels that high that it may be much easier to purchase water and cheaper.
yeah, because I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, you know, just the ERA and the CEQA studies are going to cost a lot of money. Then, you know, you got to purchase water rights.
Right.
So anybody knowing we want to buy a 2.5 acre piece of property, yeah, it might sell on the open market for you to build a house, you know, for $7,000 or $8,000, but they know that we want it for water. I'm quite sure that price is going to jump up considerably because they know they have a commodity we want.
Right.
But, you know, the cost of treating arsenic at those levels, I can't even fathom what the treatment cost would be.
Yeah.
You know, we were able to, with blending and stuff, get our arsenic levels down to, you know, the 10 parts or less or 8 parts per billion. And, you know, fall within the federal guidelines of the 10. Man, you know, it's still costly to treat the arsenic, you know, when it's up around 15 or 16.
Right.
And you get something where it's a minimum of 49 going up to 160. It's
Estimate for the construction of that well, but I believe their feeling is going to be the same as ours, that it's not worthwhile to treat at those levels.
okay. Byron, do you have any other comments? Okay.
Just the fact that, like John said, because we have property that's outside the adjudication, it is just to remember that we've got it there, you know, if we really needed to down the road somewhere.
I agree with you, John. I think it needs to go on the back burner, back in a far back room. Okay, the next one that I wanted to discuss was water acquisition. Now, according to the 1819 budget, there is $0 budgeted for water acquisition. The line item is empty. There's nothing in there allotted for it. And question I had is, in the last 4 years, how much new water has been purchased? You know, in other words, have we bought any water rights other than that 150 acre feet of water in LA County?
Yes, no.
And have any negotiations taken place to purchase water rights on the open market?
Just with a few of the local farmers.
Okay,
But yet there's been no price established.
okay. And are there any current policies or directives in place today to obtain additional water rights? In other words, does the districts have a game plan to pursue them, or is this something that we're gonna have to start fresh?
That, I believe we're gonna have to start fresh. I don't know of any policies that we've set forth. You know, it's been kind of let's hold off and wait and see what it comes to.
Okay. Okay, okay, currently we are in our second year of reduction. In 2023, we have to be down to 404.42 acre feet of groundwater pumping. Now, question I had on return flows. It has been stated that we will get 39% return flows on the denitrified percolation. But because the sewage water was created from potable water, sold to our customers, and we are already credited with return flows on that water, do we have anything in writing from the water master that will be granted an additional return flow credit on the denitrified secondary that was created from potable water?
I have not seen such a document, but I know there was talks of it being implemented.
Okay. Now, carryover water has also been mentioned in the water report. Carryover water we currently are using in our supply numbers of carryover from the 150 acre feet from the LA County land purchase and the 212 acre feet of federal water. And we are also using those same numbers to address our future water demands. And so let's start with the 150 acre feet. We've already sold 96 acre feet of that to
Legacy Homes.
Legacy Homes. So all we really have is 54 acre feet available to us for our needs.
Quick question.
Yes.
Aren't they starting that track right now? I thought
They're in
it
the
was-
process, yes.
Yeah, here's how the sign was up, so it's
And
gone.
that's going to be gone. And then we have, and the federal water is not guaranteed, as it can be taken away at any time.
Absolutely.
Okay, that brings me back to my next thing. In regards to the carryover, and you just brought up that they're already developing. But my math that I did is that no development takes place for the 150 acre feet of water, and we hold on to the federal water. When you combine those two over the 7-year ramp down, it will come to a total of 2,534 acre feet of water added. And add our 404 acre feet allotment will give us just enough water to get us through 1 year. Then the coverage will be bare. Our carryover is gone and everything. We won't have, our reserves are gone. And I'm basing this on our current demand with no water restrictions in place is around 3,000 acre feet, even though we're using less because of conservation and stuff, but there's nothing to keep it from going to what it was pre-conservation, which was about 3,000 acre feet of water. So we need to keep this number in mind. Now, so our current path to the future looks like this. According to Kennedy Jinks, with an average influent of 1.1 MGD of sewage and their own calculations of percolation of 80 to 90% of influent, and factoring in evaporation rates will give us approximately 1,000 acre feet of water, and add in the 404 acre feet after the ramp down will give us 1,404 acre feet of guaranteed water. That's my number, is the guaranteed, what we have for sure. With these numbers, we will be deficient 1,596 acre feet without return flows. Even if we get the return flows in writing, it will increase our supply by 390 acre feet, still leaving us with a deficit of 1,200 acre feet per year for our current demand. Bottom line is, I feel we should have been acquiring new water 4 years ago, so it is of the utmost importance that we get on the fast track to find additional water. And so with that, I'd like to open it up for discussion, with comments on water acquisition.
I think,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think if you can establish a price that you're willing to pay, we could go out and find it tomorrow if we wanted to.
Real quick question is, so we sold 96 acre feet to Legacy Homes. Is that an acre foot a house? Or?
Yes.
So this originally was developed as 1 acre foot per home, and that's how it was sold to Legacy. Since then, the board received a water demand study that was prepared by staff that adjusted that number to 0.76 acre feet per home. So Legacy Homes purchased 94 acre feet at the cost of $10,000 per acre foot. There's since been adjustments. Their tract has changed. Those water rights have been transferred over. So at this point, 76 acre feet of that water have been committed to Legacy Homes. The difference in those fees and what they paid for water acquisition is now being transferred over to their connection fees and other fees that need to be paid. So 76 acre feet are committed to new homes with Legacy Homes.
What's our average house use right now?
So that demand study that I'm mentioning is the average house with a buffer built on top of that.
But these new houses will have to meet the zero-scape law.
And what you see district-wide, regardless of the landscaping, is almost identical usage on a district average basis. So the difference is roughly 0.01 acre feet per year between a house built 30 years ago and a house built today.
Okay, but my question on that would be, they paid the money to purchase 94 acre feet of water, right?
Yes. And they have since sent in a request letter, which we're processing, to transfer that additional payment because their tracts changed. They're transferring those rights to a different tract, and our rates have also changed. So they only want 76 acre feet.
Right, but they own 94, correct?
At the
Even
time.
though they're only gonna be using 76, they own 94.
Yes, and they're requesting a refund for the difference.
They won't.
So the contract that they signed to purchase the 94 acre feet will be revised to show 76 acre feet that they own.
Now,
That we own, that we are committing to their project.
who came up with the formula? It's always been standard that every home is based on an acre foot of water per year. Who came up with the formula to downgrade that down to basically 3/4 of an acre foot per household?
That was collectively among staff here, and that report is available. I can provide that report to you.
Okay, I'd like to see that. And when we say staff, who on staff did that?
Myself and Ron. And those numbers, the numbers for this were collected directly from the billing system.
Okay, because I think where he's trying to make a point, we made an adjustment, and now we're gonna be short again, because if we keep our numbers set at a particular number, we may have something there, but if the numbers get adjusted, so you and Ron make the adjustment. So we looked at numbers and then we make the adjustment based on what we want using?
So based on the logic that every house uses 1 acre foot per year, the district's demand would be 5,000 acre feet per year. As you stated, even in high years, we're at 3,000 acre feet per year for 5,000 homes. So the 0.76 acre feet is a buffer on top of high years usage. We backed out the recorded conservation that the district has, and then we put in a safety buffer on top of that.
So, I mean, but why, we were doing that to save more water, to not have to buy water, what about that about?
We did this to make it realistic as far as the water rights that these developers need to purchase. It's not realistic to charge them for something that they're not using.
Yeah, we had to justify it.
So, I know, okay, so, but what made it so we're trying to be fair to the developers when we relook at the numbers?
Yes,
What numbers did we take this from, though?
multiple years usage
Okay, so
throughout
we
the
took-
district. So I took it from 2011, 2012, which were some of our highest years of usage, and then also 16 and 17, which are some of our lowest years of
We
usage.
average those out, when you subtract it.
No, the demand is actually based off of the higher years usage because, as Greg said, the public could go back to using this water at any time.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
We subtracted something, but
But even what we did is we backed out the conservation. So right now we see a conservation of 42% from our base year number, which is 2008. So the average home uses 111 gallons per capita per day. And in previous years, that number was 150 gallons. So we went back to the higher usage years. And then we used that to justify what our demand is per home. And there is a buffer on there to make up for the upper
do me a favor,
20%.
Brock, because I think I see what you're doing. Could you give me the report so I can take a look at that?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm thinking, I don't mind it being done, but did we put ourselves in a bad way in doing that?
Absolutely not. And
Okay,
as
well,
I said,
let me-
even
well, you know what, because let me look at the report.
Absolutely.
Then I get with you, and we can look back at it, because if it's gonna work, it's gonna work, but we took the numbers and we took high years in the average year, and
We didn't average the numbers, but I can provide the report to you and
Okay.
explain the report
Thanks,
as
sir.
well.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on this?
My comment is we need to make sure that the water acquisition and water banking committee begins to work on that, and give John a little bit of leeway to try to get numbers from different farmers.
Yeah.
And we need to also remember if there's any way that we can bank more water, depending on the cost. Because we do have almost a full year's supply of water if we didn't get any water in the water bank. And it was very wise to buy that water back when we did.
Yeah, I think we just need to, as a board, you need to come up with a figure that you're willing to pay, and no more, and then we can go out there and say, hey, this is what we got, what can you do for us?
I agree with Byron. I think it would be good to get this to the acquisition and water bank committee. But I think it would probably be good, John, if you were to just put some feelers out there, kind of see what they're thinking about as far as a going rate, for the water. So we kind of have, if they're mentioning a rate here, we don't want to offer them here.
Exactly.
And but if they're in this ballpark, then that gives us kind of a starting point to where we can start looking at, then bring back to the board, okay, this is what the water's going for on the open market, and then we can make a decision, do we want to pay that? I think the danger of waiting for the prices to come down is that the more we get into the ramp down, everybody in this valley is gonna have their hand out for water. And I think that could end up, once demand for the available water in this valley becomes more in demand, I think the price is gonna go up. And to where if we can get our water locked in perpetuity, then I think we're in good shape. I mean, I'm worried about keeping our need of the 3,000 acre feet, that we're locked in. We've got that. The community doesn't have anything to worry about.
Right.
Now, as the community grows, 10 years from now, we have to go out and purchase more water to meet the demand of the, new home construction, things like that. Then at that time, if the water rates have dropped down because, it's the bottom fell out of it, great, that's good for us. But I don't feel comfortable about waiting to see if it's gonna go down and putting ourselves, in a bad position. I'd rather secure our future as quickly as we can for the best price that we can.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but there's water in this basin, okay, and that's what we're buying, is somebody else's water. I think there will be this basin. And that's one of the whole purposes of the water bank, is to get water into the basin, new water. And I think that we need to always have our feelers out there of being able to purchase water. If it comes down, I know we have to go through AVAC and all those other things, but
Yeah,
imported water is the future.
Just by the feel of the three gentlemen that I spoke to, I feel that it's in the neighborhood of what we've already dealt with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they're looking too,
We set the precedence on that one, so they know that, we're the only one so far that has done that, other than small 1 acre sales.
yeah.
We were so far Rosamond's the only one that's bought, that I know of, that's bought over 100 acre feet of water
Okay.
for in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, any other discussion on this part of it? Everybody good? Okay, nitrate issues. We're all aware the nitrate issue has been going on for several years. I know it's been said that it would cost $22 million to line the ponds. Do we have any documentation such as written quotes, construction estimates, etc.?
We have a technical report that was prepared by GEI consultants with those quotes.
Okay, but did they give us, in other words, rather than somebody just saying this is what it's gonna cost, do we have any other documentation that we can look at to, to see where those costs are at? I think 22 million is a little on the high side. Simple fact that LA County lined those storage ponds, those 4 big storage ponds in Lancaster, at a cost of $30 million, and they are 25 feet deep, and you can fit our entire treatment plant in one half of one of those ponds. So they're huge. So if they can do that for 30 million, and it's gonna cost 22 to do our dinky little pond system, and it is a dinky little pond system compared to some of the big municipal wastewater agencies. I would like to look into that and see. The reason for that is, according to emails from Houghton, they've been dealing with this, and but my question on the ponds, and I've asked you about this before, John, I kind of want to get into the weeds on this a little bit. Now, we know they're leaking nitrates. Are all of them leaking nitrates, or just the ones that were removed from service when the wastewater treatment plant was in operation?
So we don't have sampling wells in each and every one of the ponds. What we do have is sampling wells around the ponds, and the sampling wells that are right in line with one of the ponds that we had a issue with when we drained it, where a tractor got stuck into it. We were under the impression that that may have been the culprit, that the crust may have gotten broken. But anyway, the monitoring well directly in line with that series of ponds is the one that's got the most nitrates in it.
Okay, so those are the ponds that were dried out.
Yes.
Okay, that was my next question, is that if the nitrate issue worsened when the treatment plant was put in mothballs and we had to reintroduce influent into those ponds?
I'd have to look at the data to remember exactly, but it was before we actually fired up the treatment plants when it started going up.
Right, I know that they're getting some nitrate issues in there. So I have some other stuff on the nitrates in that, but I'll get into that when we get into the wastewater treatment plant rehab. But I'd like to open it up to discuss on these nitrates. Okay, on the wastewater treatment plant rehab, I know that Kennedy Jenks is going to be getting back to us on the blowers. And, but the issues that I've got with this is that the blowers was one issue that we found out. And, but the plant is going to be at capacity on the first day because of the percolation issues. Because it said that we can take 1.2 MGD to percolate, and that's the maximum amount we can do. But now they're talking about actually utilizing pond 15 and then maybe even creating new ponds to the west on that 20 acres. So this is starting to jack up the cost of doing the percolation there on the plant. I mean, if pond 17 was in the original plan was supposed to be, that was a percolation site for the 1.2 MGD. Then they talked about going to part of pond 15 and then going to the other 20 acres, and I'll get more into that in the percolation part, but I mentioned it to Dr. Ferguson at the last one, is that do we have could we possibly be looking at pumping water to the water bank? If Houghton is gonna let us percolate water there, out on Patterson, into the aquifer, then would they be willing to let us percolate water and the water bank there into the same aquifer? Because the adjudication has proven it's all one and the same. So my thing is that, you know, my screen went blank. Can't never remember this password. So if we could pump there, would it possibly?
The water bank?
Yeah, the denitrified secondary out to the water bank and percolate there, so we get the benefit of the water.
We talked about that, but the cost to get it there was,
Yeah, how far away is it?
16 miles.
yeah.
And so, but the thing is, if, I'm afraid, because, and I'll get into the percolation parts later, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but we can only treat 1.2 with the way they're going to be doing the plant. And so therefore, we're going to treat 1.2, and that's what we can percolate per day. But we're already, our influent is 1.4, 1.5.
Our average influent is 1.1.
Okay, that was the average that Kennedy Jinks put in there, but they actually had a number that was higher.
Their peak design flow. So that was the peaking factor, but our average influent is 1.1.
Okay, well, my question is, if we put this plant online using the district's facilities there at the treatment plant for percolation, we're gonna be at capacity when we go online. So as this community grows and those 93 legacy homes come online and are contributing to the treatment plant, and the CFM that they're going to create into the load onto the sewer system. Once we go over 1.2 per day, we got to find some place to put the excess influent. So that's why I brought up the cost of the lining, because we're going to have to keep those, at least some of those ponds viable. Because of the fact is that if we have more influent coming in than we have capacity to treat, and we're already going to be at maximum capacity on day one. So we're going to have to do something with the excess flow coming in. So we're going to need to line some of the ponds, at least the ones that are leaking. So that lining is going to have to take place regardless, just based upon the design of the plant. Now, that's why if we can come up with an alternative percolation site, one that's more suitable, one that's not going to be at capacity at our current flow. Because the whole idea is that we're spending a great deal of money on this facility, and for it to already be at capacity from the first day that you put it online, that's a non-starter. You know, we've got to look at this thing a little differently, you know, to where, as far as the percolation goes. And then plus we need to, power issues were mentioned, and because of the higher blowers. The existing plant right now, we can treat denitrified water without using the UV system, correct? So right now, we could actually treat water. In other words, you got a Title 22, so Houghton right now currently requires 4-to-1 blending to percolate Title 22. But if we can get the Title 22, maybe because we're not going with disinfection with the UV system, that maybe it's possible that we can percolate what the plant can do. In other words, line the ponds and percolate the 500,000 or 750,000 gallons a day of water that we're capable of treating now that will that's denitrified enough that will satisfy Houghton. We still get the benefit. We'll get the benefit of 750,000 gallons a day instead of the 1.2, but at least we can do that today, and then have the cost of relining ponds. So these are some of the things I'm kind of thinking out loud of, you know, what might be a better way to accomplish the same thing without spending $12 million for a plant that's already going to be at capacity the day you put it online. And we've already got a plant that can give us effluent, and we can go through a percolation. I know it's going to get Houghton, have to do some talking with them as if they'll reclassify that, because we're not using disinfection, that they can classify that water at the plant going through the existing plant now at Title 27. And it's just something that, you know, I was thinking about because of the issues that have been brought up by Dr. Ferguson, you know, on some of the problems they're finding out now.
If there was any way to get a grant to subsidize the plumbing to the water bank, that would solve everything, you know. But I don't know if there's such a grant out there that would be recycled water or something like that.
The other thing that Houghton was adamant in their meetings is the minute you say water bank, everything changes.
Yeah.
When you say percolation,
Percolation.
They want to hear disposal.
by percolation, that's okay. But when you say we're going to water bank it, then they don't even want to talk that
But we
language.
could put disposal of water by percolation
At
in
the
the
water
water
bank.
bank. You know.
The thing is
Will that
that,
change though as the acceptance of recycled water changes?
Well, this is my thought on it. It's no different what we're doing out there than what's going on out there.
Right.
But like I said, just by being in that meeting, when you mentioned the word water bank, the whole atmosphere changed.
Because what comes down sometimes is just junk. I mean, it's terrible water, you know, that
Yeah, but like I said, you and I, you know, what we're doing out there at the wastewater treatment plant is no different than what we're doing out here at the water bank itself.
And it's already ready to go.
okay, these are just some,
I definitely will get a hold of Jay over at Houghton and, you know,
it just, I mean, I'd like to know what our options are, you know, because right now, we are in the design and the concept phase of this project with Kennedy Jinks leading the charge. And if there's some way that we can, you know, zigzag a little bit here to get the same results, I would rather see if there's a way that we can do that, you know, before we actually commit to construction cost, you know, for the facility, or modify the construction costs now. You know, I understand what they're talking about with the blowers is that really what we need is we need 200-300 horsepower blowers and to run the system. And if we've got to put in a bigger footprint of a building, knock out a wall and increase the size of the room that they go in, put a better filtering system in, whatever. Now's the time to be looking at that versus getting an inadequate system,
Right.
when they put the plan online. So any other discussion on the wastewater treatment plant?
I like your idea of you wanting to pump it and, go to a place where we have better percolation. Maybe there's 60 what the price is, I don't know off the top of my head, but it was way too much. I think that maybe another option would be finding some land closer that has better percolation and pumping it to that.
Yes.
Would probably be a good idea. And I agree with what you're saying. I don't want to turn a plant on that's at capacity or even 20% close to capacity, because why would you do that? Why would you open up saying, okay, well now that's handled, we can't get any bigger, or we can't, no, you guys can't build here. So I agree with what you're saying on that.
Water bank, I know that we haven't budgeted any money for the water bank since 2014, 2015. So all I'm gonna say on that is I think we really need to, with the water bank committee, is that we need to look at getting water in there, because the more that we can put in there while we can get water, it's better for us down the road. We got 1 year in there now. It'd be great if we had, 4 or 5 years. We were at the AV Business Conference, and I was sitting next to Dennis Lamoureux, the general manager for Palmdale Water District. And he said their return flows, they've managed to save 3 years of return flows. So they got 3 years sitting there to get them through the rough times. And I would sure like us to be in the same way where our water bank is our way of, our savings account, that it's there when we have a dry year and AVEC gets 20% of their allotment.
Right.
And so, I want to kind of look at that and to, have, hopefully the water bank committee can get some guidance on this.
So, would you like me to contact AVAC and see if they got capacity in their system now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because that was the halt there for a while, is they said they had no capacity for us.
Right.
So even if we wanted to purchase water, they said they couldn't move it for us. But it's been a while since I talked to them. I'll give them a call tomorrow and see.
That would be great.
The water bank was just audited to determine the value of the water bank per share, and our share is 6%, 6,000 shares. It was a good investment.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
We're sitting pretty good as far as making that. And we invested $6 million, but it's a whole lot more than that now. It's up to the value of it.
That's good. And my last thing I wanted to bring up was percolation. Yeah, we've discussed the liquefaction issue on the current percolation site. Dr. Ferguson mentioned mounding. That concerned me a lot when he was saying that just in the limited amount of percolation testing they're doing right now, that they've already getting significant mounding under the site. So the initial reports are we're not getting the percolation rates we had hoped for, which was requiring us to expand to percolation sites and maybe even build new ponds to get the percolation rates that they're looking for. And obviously we don't have an alternative percolation site in mind. But I remember when we found the water bank site, we explored sites, and I agree with Director Stewart, 15 miles, that's a long way. But somewhere in between, there's got to be land available, that's going to have a better percolation, and it's going to have a deeper water table to where we don't have to have a mounding issue. The sewage treatment plant is at the lowest geographical point in our community. And so therefore, it's the aquifer is going to be, that's going to be its shallowest point. So if we can move further west, even a mile or two, and find a percolation site that's gonna, where the water table's maybe at, 180 feet, 170 feet or whatever, then you can percolate there and you're not gonna have mounding issues at that point.
We do own some property. It's a little bit further west of the freeway, but where we had originally anticipated in drilling 2 new wells.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, where, I looked over at the map. Where's those wells? Where
They were never drilled, but it's off of Avenue A. It's probably 30th Street maybe?
There's 2 separate parcels. One's Gaskell's, or south of Gaskell on 30th, and one is south of Gaskell on 40th. But those are small sites. It wouldn't be enough area for any percolation. You're talking about 2.5 acres per site, I believe.
Okay, that's the end of my questions that I had on these areas for engineering projects, but I think we've identified a lot of areas that gotta be, taken to engineering, water acquisition, water reclamation, and wherever else till we can get some answers back, and I'm hoping that we can get together with Kennedy Jinks. Hope that, you'll take care of that and take our concerns to them and that they can look at that as well. Maybe we might want some property that we own. How many acres is that over there for those, where we were gonna drill a well?
They're 2.5 acre lots.
Okay, so 2.5 acres. What's the size of pond 15?
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
The combined size of the percolation area between pond 17 and pond 15, because there's an angled wall between the two, so the combined area available for percolation in the design was 21 acres. So
It's like 2.5 acre site's not gonna really do.
at the best rate that you would see in this area, including the water bank, you would get 1 foot per day of percolation. So you would need 1 acre for 1 acre foot of water, and the plant could produce roughly 4 acre feet of water every day. So we would need 4 acres, best case scenario, to percolate on.
It would never work, but we can percolate it, fellas.
Short-lived.
Make everybody happy.
Well, John, can we go ahead and start looking into these
Absolutely.
concerns, and then we can get them to the committees, and then we can hammer things out, and then hopefully bring this back to the board sometime in, maybe by May.
In your neighborhood.
That should give us enough time to kind of get through the weeds on this.
Kids complain of water.
Okay, that's all I had on DR 1, 2, and 3. Any other director reports and comments, future agenda items?
Well, I do have 2 things. John, when you went out and looked at the building, you said it's not in the best shape in the world. Could you maybe consider looking at, you briefly talked about a steel building. Maybe we can look at the feasibility of that, because I would hate to give up that spot. It just, the building's not in good shape, but maybe we could maybe partner with the county and see if they could help us along the way, and it could be a multiple use type building. So if you could just kind of look at that there, the size, whatever, maybe they could, you could talk with the county or get to that point. We could have someone talk with them to see the possibility of it. And then the other thing was that on the boulder out front, we used to have a little plaque on it, on the boulder. We know everything out front. We know what happened to the plaque.
I hadn't noticed it was missing.
It is missing. If we could maybe look, getting it back up there, the plaque back up there. Or if we don't get it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we can't find it, let's get another one.
Okay.
Uh,
You heard anything about that?
No.
Yeah, I noticed it was missing. I
It
don't know
was
if it-
grass, so somebody might have.
Yeah, recycled it. Anyway, if we could, and if we knew the verbiage that was on it, maybe we could do that. Get one of those up, that, those 2 things. But that historical society, right? You guys met with them. And maybe that'd be something that we could help, everyone could get a boost out of it, we could consider about something that we could do to help them, help ourselves, and maybe help the community as a whole with that. Thank you.
There was a time in the past when they were stealing manhole covers. They're not doing that anymore.
No,
Just stand yourself, Byron, just stand yourself.
So I went to the AVIC board meeting last night. Bear with me, I'm still learning the lingo as there because they speak fast. They had a presentation. I'll tell you who it was by. It was by Matt Payne of Westwater Research, and they were just giving a presentation regarding actually price transparency on purchasing water on the NASDAQ. And they weren't asking anybody to vote on it or anything like that, but they were going to try to actually have it on the open trade market so you'd see a good, clear, transparent price for leases and sales. So per acre foot. So that was interesting to hear.
That's bad to hear. It should be on index now. Oh,
So, and then the other thing was they were talking about the water master meeting regarding if a well is on the outside of the boundary, but the property line is segregating it, it's part of the adjudication. If that's a commercial well, and that's based on size. So they were talking about that last night as well. It was pretty neat. If it's outside of the adjudication, it's still part of it. That's what they were talking about. So that was neat to hear that the actual directors are going back and forth talking and discussing how they felt about it. So it was neat to listen to. So that's what I got.
Great. We attended the AV Business Outlook Conference and heard a lot of good speakers. Got to be able to network with a lot of people. And one of the people I was able to network with is the Southern California Edison. And I can't really go into detail on it yet, but was able to get the ball rolling and turn it over to our general manager, John, to explore hopefully some kind of a benefit that's going to help us out as far as streetlights and the cost of streetlights. So hopefully we'll have something good to report on that at our next meeting. Same thing, I was at the RMAC meeting last Thursday and was able to network with Devin Muto from the solar companies, and I was able to get with him to also talk about some ways that they can give back to the community. And so we're in dialogue with these folks, and hopefully we'll have some good news to report back to the community on that as well. For a future agenda item, I put John in touch with Bob Nespeka, and he's with Perk Water, and they are I'd like them to come out, and John's going to get something set up with them, but they built and operate the Adelanto denitrified percolation project, and I thought it would be a good idea to get them to come out here and address the board on a system that we're looking at putting in at our own facility to give us the pros and cons of it, the pitfalls if there are any, and so that way we can kind of get a better understanding of how the system is going to work and issues that they've had with it. In talking with him, I was the one that found out that the ponds need to be maintained, and that we need more than the capacity that we have right now, because you got to have some place to put the water while you let the pond dry out. So you can remove, 4 to 6 inches of soil, and disc it, that way it'll keep percolating the way you want it to percolate. So that was just one tidbit of information, so I thought if I could find that out in one phone call, there's probably a lot of things he can tell us that will give us a better understanding on what this system is going to entail as far as maintenance-wise and operation costs and things like that. So he said he would come out, and so John will work that out with him. And
Just a question, Greg, did he have any, did you guys talk about anything about algae control in the ponds?
no, algae should be controlled with your aeration. If you got enough aerators in there, shouldn't be an issue.
I'm talking about in the actual percolation ponds.
Well, the percolation ponds, no, I didn't. And so these are the things that we can ask them, and if they've had those problems, how they've dealt with them. So, also, that's all I've got for future agenda items. And any other future agenda items?
I don't know if it's us, but with waste management now taking over the trash service, we have a number of residents that are no longer getting trash service because they don't drive on dirt. So, it was brought to my attention by a friend that no longer has trash service now. So I'm wondering, not saying that this is something we need to take over, but if there's something that we can do to help them out in the sense of maybe at some point in the future, Rosamond having their own trash service, RCSD managing it. Not saying that this is what we're going to do, but we have a lot of citizens that no longer have service at their house, and I think we're going to get a lot more illegal dumping now.
That's something we could you look into that, John, to see what powers we do? I know there's about 40 different powers we've got.
There is we've looked into it before
Yeah.
with bins, so
And we were gonna,
we'll check into it. I think it can be done.
I appreciate, it's far out, I know, but I see the illegal dumping going through the roof now.
Right.
we were actually pretty close to making a deal with.
Signing a contract with them,
Vince,
yeah.
And Steve was here.
Okay. Any other future agenda items or direct reports? Okay, with that, we'll move on to general council update.
I don't have a report.
General manager update, John?
I think we pretty much covered it for the last week anyway. Things are going good.
Okay, and director of finance update?
No update at this time, Mr. President. Thank you.
Director of public works update?
Since the last board meeting, the Public Works staff completed cleaning the high maintenance areas in the sewer system, which is an additional 2,400 feet of sewer mains cleaned on top of what I previously reported. Replaced one angle stop valve. We locked off 56 meters for non-payment. Replaced 9 meters, all of which included replumbing on both our side and the customer's side because these are in older neighborhoods. We removed graffiti at 8 different locations, and we completed our monthly meter reading, which included verifying roughly 5% of those readings by physically reading the meters. Kennedy Jinks visited the wastewater treatment plant to review the current electrical system and the generator. This was related to the option of 2 300 horsepower blowers. We submitted 1 month worth of Edison data to them, as well as exported the same month worth of SCADA information so they can review the actual load on those blowers and on the electrical panel. How it sits right now, it looks like the electrical service there is sized sufficiently to run 1 300 horsepower blower at a time, and the existing 600 kilowatt generator can also power that blower. As we already discussed, we received the samples for the Fremont Basin, ranging from 49 to 140 parts per billion. And then the other big item is Helix Environmental completed the mitigated negative declaration for the wastewater treatment plant. This is the draft document. It is prepared for circulation. So we will be submitting that for circulation in the next few days. And that allows a 30-day public comment period. So it goes out to the public. And then before that is adopted, those comments will be summarized and brought to the board at a public hearing.
Okay, on that, the CEQA documents that were submitted, just got those emailed to me yesterday, and in preparing for the agenda, I haven't really had a chance to even look at them yet. How long did the regional board have those CEQA documents for their review?
20 days. The regional board had
20
that
days,
document
and
for
then
20
they
days.
formulated their own comments. I would like to give this board the same 20 days to review them so we know what's in it, familiarize ourselves with everything that's been put in these documents, then release it for the 30-day public comment period. Is there any reason why a 20-day review by this board is going to upset the apple cart?
It would just delay the process if we were planning to move forward with this project and start construction. This CEQA process needs to be completed prior to construction. So the board could review these documents at the same time the public is reviewing the documents. You are all members of the public and members of this community, so you have the same review window, and your comments could be incorporated in that document prior to the final adoption. Those two things can happen at the same time. So what's being released is a draft document for public comment, and that can also include your comments.
Well, I would like to have the opportunity, I mean, I'm just speaking for myself, but I'd like to have the opportunity of 20 days to review the documents so I can formulate my comments for it. I don't know how the rest of the board feels on that.
I would think that we could do it at the same time that the public has the opportunity. You say 30 days, right?
Yes, there's a 30-day window, and once I give the signed approval for circulation, my name on the document, once I give the signed approval for circulation, it takes Helix approximately 5 days to get this ready for circulation. At that point, it will go out for a 30-day public review, and if we sign this and send it out tomorrow, it would look at like the beginning of April before we would be ready for a public hearing.
And that's the document you sent to us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel, Ben?
I understand what Brock says. I agree. I mean, 30 days. I don't want to add any more time to it than we need to. I agree. I understand what you're saying about, definitely doing our due diligence and reviewing it, but we're members of the public. 30 days, altogether should be good.
Correct?
30 days should be sufficient. I mean, there's a lot going on here, but the other part about it too, I don't want us to become the clock. And 30 days, I mean, we can look at it 30 days, and if something comes up, we'll address it.
Okay.
Because we have a copy now, right, Brock?
Yes.
So we can start using it now, and we can work from there.
Well, Brock, you've got board consensus to go ahead and post it.
Thank you.
All right, Director of Administration, Board Secretary update.
So in the month of January, the Customer Service Department processed 4,700 bills. We had 47 new accounts and received 4,917 payments. I also want to remind you that we do have a special board meeting next Friday, March 8th at 10 a.m. to conduct the interviews to fill the board vacancy and to appoint somebody. Also, your Form 700s are going to be due shortly, so if you don't have those in, please fill them out and turn them in. Ethics, harassment, trainings. If you haven't completed them, please do so as soon as possible.
Okay. All right.
Your attorney seconds that, by the way.
All right. Any other questions on this? All right. Then I'd like to move for adjournment. Have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Webb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:39.